All right, here's some long division examples, and I'll try to go slow. So here's a polynomial, x cubed minus x squared minus x plus 10, and we're going to divide it by x plus 2. We're going to try to show that x plus 2 is a factor of this, which also means that negative 2 comma 0 is a 0. Okay, so just take the first one. We look at x and x cubed. What times x is x cubed? Or you could say x cubed divided by x is what? And the answer to that is x squared, right? X times x squared is x cubed. So that's the first thing you have to do is establish what goes up there. And then we follow the same pattern. We multiply x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times plus 2 is plus 2x squared. We draw our line, and now we subtract. X cubed minus x cubed is 0, which is good. And then minus x squared minus 2x squared is then a minus 3x squared. And then let's bring down the x. And then we do the same process again. X times what is minus 3x squared? That's just a minus 3x. And then we multiply. Minus 3x is going to give us minus 3x squared. And a minus 3x times a positive 2 is a minus 6x. Okay? And then we subtract. Minus 3x squared minus a minus 3x squared is 0. Minus x minus 6x is positive 5x. Remember, that's a minus 1x minus a minus 6x. So it's really a plus 6x from that. Okay? And then we say x times what is 5x plus 5. And then we take 5 times x. Oops, sorry. Let's bring down the 10. 5 times 2 is plus 10. And we subtract, and we get 0. Okay? And again, when we get 0, we have now shown that x plus 2 is a factor of this thing, right? Is a factor, which also meant that negative 2, 0 is a 0, which is the same thing as saying it's an x-intercept. Okay? And then if we wanted to, we could then use the quadratic formula to continue to break that quadratic down into its other factors. Okay? All right, let's do some more. All right, so I did make sure I rearranged this guy to make sure it was in order. Fourth, cube, square, x, number. And let's go ahead and divide by x minus 3. X goes into x to the fourth, x cubed times, and then we multiply x to the fourth minus 3x cubed, and then we subtract. You get 0. Oh, and in this case, we get another 0, which means we just have to move on to the next guys. Okay, so we can just skip that term because x goes into 0 times. Okay, so we go to the next one. X times what gives you minus 4x squared, minus 4x. And then we multiply. Minus 4x times x is minus 4x squared. Minus 4x times minus 3 is a plus 12x. And now we subtract. 7x minus 12x is minus 5x. And then we bring down the 15. X times negative 5x is negative 5, right? X times negative 5 is minus 5x. And then we multiply. Negative 5x. Negative 5 times negative 3 is positive 15. Uh-oh. Definitely, what did I do wrong there? I'm pretty sure that's supposed to actually factor. Oh, I just copied the original problem down wrong. Okay, my bad. Hey, can you fix that for me? See how that was a minus 15? It wasn't supposed to be a minus. It was supposed to be a plus. Because I knew I was supposed to get a 0 there, which meant if it was a minus, we would have had a problem. Okay? So the original problem, that's supposed to be a plus. So that's a plus 15. 15 minus 15 is in fact 0, which now shows when you get a 0, that must mean that x minus 3 is a factor. Which also means that 3 comma 0 is a 0. Cool. All right, let's do two more. Okay, let's do this one. So we got 2x squared, and we're going to divide into this, and you can see that the original thing probably didn't have an x squared, so I made sure I put in a 0 for x squared. Okay, so 2x times what gives you 2x to the fourth? Well, x cubed. X cubed times 2x gives you 2x to the fourth, and now we multiply. So 2x to the fourth plus 5x cubed. We subtract, we get 0. We subtract, we get 0. And we get 0, and we can just keep moving on, which is crazy. Remember, if you get zeros here, you can just keep sliding over until you're good. 2x times what gives you minus 2x? You're like, well, that's just minus 1, right? The opposite of 2x is negative 2x. So take negative 1 times this and times that, and subtract, and you're done. That one actually goes really, really fast. It looks like it's complicated, but it's not. And again, all you're saying is that this polynomial, if you factor out a 2x plus 5, you're going to get a x cubed minus 3. And again, once we know this guy's a factor, that means that negative 5 halves comma 0 is the 0. This 0 and that factor are the same thing. Okay? All right, let's do one more. Okay, so they're in order and nothing is skipped. So we should be good here. So we can just take x times what gives you 4x cubed. That means 4x squared. And then we multiply. 4x squared times x is 4x cubed. 4x squared times minus 1 is negative 4x squared. And we subtract. See you later. 5x squared minus a minus 4x is 9x squared. And then bring down the 3x. X times 9x squared is plus 9x. And then multiply. 9x times x is 9x squared. 9x times negative 1 is negative 9x. And now subtract. 3x minus 9x is 12x. Bring down the 2. And then x times 12 is 12x. 12x minus 12, subtract, and you get 14. You're like, oh, I got 14 and not 0, which means this is not a factor of this. Remember, it only is a factor if you get a 0 here. If you get a 0 here, that means it divides in evenly, right? It means it is a multiple. If you don't get 0, which you didn't here, then you get a remainder. So then you have to say plus 14 over x minus 1. That's our remainder term. And since you got a remainder, it means that x minus 1 is not a factor. And it also means that 1 comma 0 is not an x-intercept for this function, for the graph. Okay, so hopefully, those examples helped, and we'll keep going through more days of this.